So if you want to see the actual question, I'm doing question 1A on the elaborate on the document that's posted in the Google Classroom. So 1 says, a houseplant needs to make 0.5 moles of glucose a week to survive. Use the balanced chemical equation for photosynthesis. How many moles of water does it need to make that much glucose? So the first thing you need to do is you need to balance the equation for photosynthesis. You were supposed to have done that in the second Explore Explain, so I'm going to assume that you have it balanced. I went ahead and wrote it up here, and I made the coefficients purple just to make it a little more obvious, to show it's balanced. There's no number here, so remember, if there's no number, it's like having an invisible 1. So the question asks about how many moles of water you need if you want to make glucose. So we're using water and glucose. So we're going to start with our first ratio being from the equation water and glucose. So in the equation, water is H2O, so there's 6 moles of water. And glucose is this big sugar molecule right here. So there's 1 mole of glucose. Okay, so the left side is always getting the numbers from the balanced equation. Then we want to actually answer the question. So the question said that the plant needs to make 0.5 moles of glucose a week. So down here we're going to put 0.5 moles of glucose. And the question is, how many moles of water does it need? So that's our X. We don't know how many moles of water. So now you may have seen something like this before, and now what we want to do is we want to cross multiply. So we want to multiply these numbers by each other, these numbers by each other. So 1 times X equals 6 times 0.5. Okay, so X equals 3 moles of H2O. So that tells us that if a plant for a whole week only needs half a mole of glucose to survive, then it would only need 3 moles of water. So let's go ahead and look at 1B. Okay, so 1B says, using mole conversions, how many grams of water should you give the plant each week in order to make that much glucose? Note, you will need a periodic table to find the molar mass of water. So this is going back to what we learned before school got out. We now know how many moles of water we need. That's the answer to 1A. The question is how many grams of water, because we don't go around measuring our water in moles, but you can measure in grams if you have a balance. Okay, so if you go ahead and look back at the elaborate, you see that conversion chart, remember, where it has mole in the middle, number of particles up here, it's got volume over here, and it's got mass down here. Okay, so the question is that we're starting with moles, and we're trying to find how many grams. So we're trying to do this. So if you look at the arrow, it says that we need to multiply by the molar mass. So we're using that chart. And you may not have that chart with you, but it's posted in the Google document. So we're trying to get from moles to grams. From moles to grams, we need to multiply by the molar mass. So we're starting with moles. So we have 3 moles of H2O, right? That came from our answer for 1A. Now we need to multiply by the molar mass. So let's change the color. To find the molar mass, you do it like this. So you have for H, you have 2 of them. And if you use the periodic table and you look it up, they weigh 1 each. For oxygen, you only have 1 of them. And if you look it up on the periodic table, it weighs about 16. I'm rounding it. So the molar mass of water is 18 grams. So you're going to do 3 times 18 grams. Okay? And that's going to give you your final answer. So if you wanted to, remember, the original question was, hold on, switched off the tab. Let me go find it real quick. The original question was, how many grams of water should you give the plant each week in order to make that much glucose? The answer is 54 grams of H2O. So now you could know, if this was true facts, exactly how much water you would want to give your plant so that it could survive. Okay? So if you want to do number 2, it's very similar. You first do a ratio to figure out how many moles, and then you take it and you plug it in and you use this chart to help you figure out how to do the conversion. Number 2, instead of converting to mass, you're converting to volume because it wants liters. So you're going to have to use what it says on that arrow. Hope this helped. Otherwise, if you're still a little confused, of course, you can always come to office hours and we will help you out.